1063.com.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Hey, look, one of the things I focus on Coast View on a regular basis is to say, you know, we need to always stay focused on our first responders. Just, you know, generally, we need to be focused on our first responders because they're there helping us stay safe and protecting us. Certainly, this hurricane season is important. Obviously, in the midst of the COVID situation, you know, they've got an incredibly important role to play. But we cannot talk to enough of our leaders and the first responder sort of, you know, universe of coastal Mississippi. I can't tell you how important it is to me. And you know this from listening to the show. Early in my life, I was in pre-med, and before that, I was a paramedic. I went to the University of Alabama in Birmingham and became an advanced paramedic. Worked as a paramedic for a few years, and eventually changed my major. And went on to get my MBA. Did an internship at the Sun Herald. The rest is history. But anyway, I am thrilled today to have the new chief of the fire department in Biloxi, Chief Nicholas Geiser. We talked before the show. I'm going to call him Nick. That's what he wants me to call him. But Chief Geiser is newly appointed. He was sort of positioned by Mayor Fofo Gillish, who was approved by the city council. He's only 41 years old. He's a Biloxi native, and I look forward to sharing his story. But anyway, welcome to the show, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's kind of start with it. First of all, let me say this, that we're recording this show on Wednesday. This last Wednesday. It's playing on Monday. We recorded last Wednesday. The reason why it's so far in advance is because I wanted to spend a full hour with you, and this was the first hour segment that we had. And of course, since we're doing it last Wednesday, we don't really know what the tropical situation is. As of now, it does appear the storm's going to go into somewhere along the panhandle of Florida, but who knows? But the important message here is that people just need to be prepared during the tropical system. You guys stay on guard as it relates to the tropical system, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So previous to me taking over the director role here, I was the city emergency manager and training chief. So I'm very well aware of the tropics, and in fact, I'm still kind of filling the role while we fill positions and backfill from vacated spots. So right now, I'm kind of keeping my eye on the tropics, staying in contact with Harrison County, Matt Stratton over there in the EOC, and just I'm still getting all the emails, getting ready, and just making everybody aware that we've got somewhat of a possibility of a storm, maybe.
Yeah. Matt's a good dude, man. I've really enjoyed getting to know him. Here's a guy who was in military, who was a meteorologist, and now he lands in the EOC in Harrison County. We're lucky to have him, aren't we?
Oh, he's a pleasure to work with. Rupert was great to work with. The war stories that Rupert could share. And Matt by education is a meteorologist, so he brings a whole different aspect from what Rupert brought, but I think Rupert taught him well. And and Matt is an enjoyable guy to speak with and go back and forth on possibilities, because he knows how to kind of read some things that none of the rest of us have been trained on for the most part.
Yeah. So listen, Nick, it's awesome that you have joined us today. Again, I'm really looking forward to sort of sharing your story with the listeners. Before we get into growing up in Biloxi and going to Southern Miss and all the things that you've done, I want to focus just for a second on just kind of what's in your head right now. I mean, this move to become chief happened kind of quick. And I know you've had ambitions along the way, but it happened kind of quick. So now you're in that, you have to pinch yourself. I'm actually in this seat now.
Yes, sir. I find myself on several occasions in my mind preparing a convincing argument to bring to the chief to get funding for this or funding for that. and then I have to remind myself that, hey, I'm convincing myself at this point. So it's one of those things like you do internally when you're going to buy a new car. Do I really need it? Will it make things better for the guys and girls that will work for us, or is it gonna, how is it gonna affect the community and the citizens? So it's definitely a transition. It seems like it's been a whirlwind since especially last Tuesday when the vote came in. A lot of things are going on. Budget talks. It's a lot of things to learn in a short amount of time.
I make no apologies for it, and I'm proud to be able to say it, but I'm a big fan of Fofo Gillich, have been for a long time. I've known him for a very, very long time. I married Ann Bohanovich, from the Bohanovich clan on the Point, and just really glad to have gotten to know him long before he became the mayor. But he's a smart guy. You're gonna love working closely with him. I know you guys already work closely together, but in this new role, you get a chance to just work really closely with him, and you're gonna get a kick out of that because he's just a terrific leader, isn't he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've known him for quite some time. Me and his son are the same age. His son would have graduated from Ocean Springs. I graduated from Biloxi, but we all knew each other, ran in the same circles. I still see him. I see Andy and his wife and know their children. They all go to the same dance studio with my daughters, and and I've always known Mr. Fofo. Coming in the lumberyard that was family owned that I worked at for years and years, and but yes, it's enjoyable having somebody like that leading the city.
Well, he's got a great mind, as you well know.
Yes, sir.
When he goes in to solve problems, he's using literally computer code in his brain. So he's thinking way ahead of most people. And I tell you where I most got impressed with him is that when we went to the Sylvanian golf tournament that's held every year, many years ago, I remember there might have been 500 or 600 people in the room. And I was sitting there with my wife, and we said hello to Fofo, and then he kind of moved on. And I watched him. And I said this when I had an hour-long session with him. He literally knew everyone in the room. Literally knew everyone in the room. And he's got this great memory. So just good leader to have, and you're going to do well as well. So what's interesting about you is you got a double major in business management and accounting. That's come in handy in your roles, hasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes. It served me well moving up through the ranks. And, now that I'm here, where governmental accounting is a little bit different than your day-to-day accounting, I think governmental factors into about one semester, 3 hours of your accounting side of things. So you don't really you delve into it, but it's not like living it, like I'm trying to have to learn real quick here. So, but there's great people throughout the city. I have conversations with, our contracts manager, our purchasing agent, Diana over there in accounting and payroll and finance. And I could name, several more that have already given me input and advice on how to work this navigate the budget talks.
Yeah, there's a lot. You saved Grace over a really large budget. I know that from the prior chief and the time that we've spent together. What I want to do in this conversation, we're getting closer to the break. When we get on the other side of the break, what I want to do is kind of start from the beginning. I want to rebuild. What it was like growing up in Biloxi. And you obviously went to Biloxi High. You went to, as I mentioned, Southern Miss, by the way, to the top. I'm a Southern Miss graduate myself, as is everyone in my family except for my son, my renegade son, who went to Auburn. And he's the only one who doesn't live in Coastal Mississippi. He lives in New York and works for Price Waterhouse in New York. But anyway, yeah. So we'll kind of go through all of that. You have a really, you came into the department in 2004. And of course, Katrina hits in 2005. So most of your experience, it'd be interesting because you sort of end up working your way into the role of Biloxi Emergency Manager. But I would bet that the Katrina experience probably had a absolute profound impact on you going through that. So we're going to walk through that as well. This is the Fire Chief for the Biloxi Fire Department, Chief Nicholas Geiser. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have the Fire Chief for the city of Biloxi, Chief Nicholas Geiser, with us today. And what we're going to do, we kind of live his life for a second. I want to, for sure, we're going to talk about how Katrina impacted his life, because he joined the fire department in July of 2004 as a firefighter, and then ultimately, obviously, the next year Katrina hits, and it changed everything for him, and it changed so much for the city. But before we do that, let's just talk real briefly about growing up in Biloxi, or Biloxi native. What community were you raised in?
So I was in West Biloxi, born and raised right in Tanglewood subdivision out by Fatima Church. You know, I knew nothing else other than that little area. In fact, my parents still live in that area. Not the same house that I grew up in. Of course, they, as soon as me and my older brother moved out, they built a bigger house. But no, I went to Pops Ferry Elementary right there around the corner from where I lived, went to Fernwood for middle school, and then went to Biloxi High for my high school education.
Tell me about your parents.
Well, my dad, Eddie Geiser, he is a carpenter by trade. He married my mom, Julia, back. They were high school sweethearts. They graduated 71 from Biloxi High, and I think got married 74. After mom did a fast track through Southern Miss to get her teaching degree, education. So she went to work at Beauvoir, and right there around the corner, really, from the house that they bought. So they are, still happily married after, I think, if I do the correct math, around 47 years. We still eat dinner with them every Friday night. Love the 3 grandkids that I gave them. It's just an enjoyable thing to be able to have them right here with us.
It's interesting because firefighters often have sort of other skills that they do when they're off. I'm just curious, your dad was a carpenter. Did you develop some carpentry skills of your own?
Well, Dad was, much quicker at it. So a lot of times when we would try to, I guess you'd call it, assist him with a project, a lot of times it resigned us to holding this so he could do the do the work. Now, Dad ended up stepping out. He worked for J.O. Collins and he worked for Lloyd Moon before I was born. Right there before I was born, my uncle, Roy Andrews, who had Biloxi Lumber, reached out to my dad. His uncle, Uncle Roy's uncle, was retiring. He needed a partner to help run the business and knew my dad knew the woodworking trade. So he reached out to my dad, I think it was around 78, and they ended up becoming partners in the business. My dad married Julia. Roy married Carol. Both were Sauché girls with, you might know Sauché Brothers Roofing.
Yeah.
So, that kept it all in the family. So me growing up, I didn't actually do much carpentry unless it was something right there at the house. But I was a salesman at the lumberyard. Every summer, once I hit 15, I was a delivery man, salesman, whatever you want to call me, helper there. And that was actually, like you said, firemen have side jobs. That was my side job, even when I joined the fire department.
That's so interesting, though. It's always interesting to see the impact your parents have on you. And, some get into the family business. Some are just inspired by, being taught a strong work ethic and how important education is, your mother being a teacher and all. It's all the dots connect in a way. It's really interesting that your parents really did inspire you to try to get the most out of life that you could get, didn't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My mom, of course, being she bounced around a couple. She was in 6th grade, 1st grade, 2nd grade throughout her career. But it was never an option to kind of do a half job on it, if for lack of a better term. It was always expected to, and it wasn't just me, it was my older brother and my younger brother. She pushed us to be the best that we could be, and, instilled us to always continue learning. Where dad was the one that always was the more laid back. He more went with the flow. So he kind of taught us that, to be flexible and that sort of thing. So they, for lack of a better term, perfect parents for us 3 boys. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's awesome to be able to look back on it the way that you do and be so complimentary about it. I'm not surprised, because behind every really good leader, you have usually parents that taught you some good values in life and taught you to work hard and taught you the value of education and all that. Obviously, you and your brothers got that from your parents. You moved up through the organization of the fire. When you joined in July 2004 as a firefighter 1, you became a firefighter 2, then a firefighter 3, then a fire captain. You ultimately became the deputy chief of training. You became the Biloxi emergency manager. You became the chief of management. I can only imagine the amount of training that you had along the way. But coming back to July 2004, you joined it. We have no idea. Of course, we had a busy hurricane season that season, and we got several scares that season. But little did we know that probably the most significant life-changing event was going to happen 1 year later. Tell me first of all about your Hurricane Katrina experience, and then we'll sort of transition into how it really changed the course of history for you.
Yes, sir. So, being a lifelong Biloxi resident with parents that have always lived here, you always heard it would never be any worse than Camille. And they always gave you the benchmarks to look for. It was always, Camille was the worst we'll ever see. It devastated the community. It devastated the entire Gulf Coast. So as I remember, I was a newlywed. I got married in June of 05. So roll into August, we just trying to get our feet settled and start our new lives. I just made my year anniversary in July, and we were in fact buying a house in Biloxi in North Haven subdivision. My wife worked at Biloxi schools. So it just made sense. Everything was working out perfect. And then I went in to work on Friday, and there was Katrina on the other side of Florida, off the east coast of Florida. I remember our captain, our battalion chief, going down to the staff meeting, and as the meeting was kind of ending, I remember one of them telling us, they asked, what about that storm? And the director at the time said, I'm not worried about that storm right now. So, well, we all know that it hit 3 days later, and just devastated us. And it formed a sense. It basically formed the rest of my career when that storm hit. I was with a great captain, great crew, great battalion chief. I couldn't have asked for any better spot. The work that we did was so meaningful. You got a sense that what you had hired on to do and what you were doing at the time and in the future was, what you were put here to do.
Hey, what location were you at during the storm?
So I was right here at Station 1 on Porter Avenue. So we were called in early on Sunday evening. The way the fire department works is when a storm like that is approaching, I was a sea shifter, so we were scheduled to be on duty Monday for the storm. Because of the time frame with the storm coming, they always call in the oncoming and leave the shift in position. So we came in at 6:45 Sunday evening. I actually, being low man on the totem pole, volunteered. We always heavily staff our engines and our trucks. So I jumped in with the B shift crew to bring that total staffing on that engine to a 6-man crew where normally we were running 4 men. We ran calls throughout the night. In fact, we ran what is now the DoubleTree at the end of Hopkins down at 90. It used to be Gulf View Towers, I think it was. And it was apartments instead of a hotel. So, of course, the power was out. We saw all the flooding. In fact, the water had already come up Hopkins to an extent where you couldn't get to the South Drive, kind of where the pool is now. We ran it, checked it out, and that was pretty much the last call. And I want to say it was around 4:15 a.m. in the morning. And it was basically the fire alarm was just going off. All the strobes were going off, but it was due to no power being to the building. From that point, we have to go into basically a no-go once the winds get to a certain amount, just too dangerous. And, we build through that, and then we were released at 3 p.m. that afternoon to go do what we needed to do.
I'm talking to the fire chief for the city of Biloxi, and we're talking about the Katrina experience and how that impacted him. When we come back on the other side, we'll pick the story up right there. See you after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast View on your laptop,
Desktop or on your phone or tablet.
by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard to find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer-songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now it's Coast View with Ricky Mathews, brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on Super Talk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. You know, I'm honored to have these opportunities to talk to first responders across coastal Mississippi. And today I have the fire chief for the city of Biloxi, Chief Nicholas Geiser. And Nick, what Nick was doing when we went to break, we're beginning to sort of get deep into the Hurricane Katrina experience. So, Nick, why don't you pick it up from where you left off?
So yes, right. We had basically made it through the storm. Our director at the time, David Roberts, had released us. We had only communications with our two stations on the east end of town, was that they had received at least 6 feet of water. They were not trapped in a sense of in the building, but engines had gone under, all their vehicles had gone underwater. They had citizens that had walked up or waded up in the water. They were all either on top of the engines or in the fireboat. So Chief cut us loose. The crew that I was with started making our way to Station 3, which is backed by the IP and by Gornflow School. So we started and as we made our way and our crew was cutting our way through trees and the lines were all down, you started realizing the devastation, the houses that had floated into the middle of the road. At one point, we ended up on Raynor by Seven Seas Marine and had to turn around because all the boats that were in their boat yard were stacked like pixie sticks or pickup sticks sitting there over the road, and there was just no way to cut our way through. So we had to backtrack and go around. And there were times where, being a lifelong resident of Biloxi, I didn't know what street I was on at the time because the landscape had been changed so quick and so fast, and you didn't have your typical landmarks. So once we secured our firefighters and got those citizens to safety and to shelters, it began a search and rescue mission. I mean, immediately we were directed to hit certain spots throughout the area. Of course, we did run across the deceased that had died during the storm or drowned, however it had happened. And it was eye-opening and very forming, I would say, for a young firefighter. There were several of us. That was in the time where we were hiring several people, big, large groups. So it wasn't just me. There was several others that, it wasn't something that we had really been exposed to other than, a cardiac arrest here or there through our short career. And this was kind of a thrown into the gauntlet, and here you are, do the work that you're trained to do. And you just, had to put on your big boy pants and keep going.
Well, what's interesting and what's sort of tragic about the storm, it wasn't just that you guys, as sort of new to the department, out there in the midst of the worst natural disaster in American history, and having to sort of take it all in and grow up fast, I might add. I mean, just the wisdom you're gaining rapidly is just incredible. But it was during the storm. I remember we stayed at our house on Back Bay and had waves hitting our house, and we didn't know if we were going to make it through. And I remember listening, I don't know if it was an emergency channel or if it was maybe through WLOX at the time. We had a TV, a battery-powered TV, but people were calling from the point in their attics, and you were having to tell them you couldn't come. I'm just curious that, like, there was a lot of tragedy during the storm that you had to watch unfold. And as a young fireman, you weren't able to go save people because, as you pointed out, at one point you just had to cut it off and you couldn't go any further. That didn't mean that people weren't still begging for someone to still rescue them. How did that impact you?
Well, when you sign up to the job, you pretty much take an oath to for life safety is the utmost priority. So while you're sitting there, you feel helpless. You feel like you're letting your community and the citizens down. So it's a learning process, and that's why there is the older generation to kind of guide you through, because, you know, as a young, fresh off the line, ready to go, ready to do this and that, and you're invincible, you need that older generation. So it made you appreciate, you know, and understand that, hey, these guys might be hard on you, but it's for a reason. You know, these times are hard, but, you know, you grow, you learn, you get mentally strong, you know, and, you know, I don't want to say that it makes you emotionless, you know, because it was a tough thing to choke down.
Yeah.
But it also does help you deal with it helped me deal with, you know, hey, yes, I understand the two sides of this coin. And I hate it for them, but, you know, we can't put ourselves in the same situation, because we can't help them if we do.
You know, what's interesting, after Hurricane Katrina, you know, I was president publisher of the Sun Herald, you know, before, during, and in the aftermath of Katrina. Our team, Stan Tyner, who was the executive editor of the Sun Herald at the time, and his incredible team, you know, our Sun Herald was awarded a Pulitzer for our coverage. They went on a mission to tell the story of every single person who perished in the storm, every single person, because we wanted to understand better what decision did they make, what was it that was guiding them to decide to stay. Then they fit in a bunch of different categories. We won't get into that now, but you know, one of the things I wanted to do was to, and I'm sure it affected you too, because you ultimately became the emergency manager for the city, and that is, you know, when we say get out, when we have these, you know, the flood zones and all these warnings, and how we, you know, some people aren't paying attention, how we communicate with them, what is the message that we communicate to them, you know, just get better at getting to those people who might be stubborn or might not have gotten the message. But I kind of went on a mission to understand that better. And I'm sure it had to have impacted you, because it literally set the course for the rest of your career, didn't it?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt in my mind that if Katrina had not happened, I might not be where I'm at now. So, and like I said, it was the most meaningful work that I have done in my 17 years. I mean, you can't replace the feeling of helping somebody when they are at their greatest need. But yes, it formed me, watching the FEMA teams, the USAR teams come in. From that, I am now part of the state Mississippi Task Force. I've got all the training to be able to deploy anywhere in the country and do search and rescue or swift water rescue, trench rescue, structural collapse. I mean, it's you could go on for days on all the things that come into play when you have a storm like Katrina roll through. It also formed, you know, my outlook on how things go, you know, in a progression in a storm like that, or any kind of natural disaster, or even a man-made disaster that would come. It made me appreciate the structure that's set forth to be able to perform the task and keep everything organized. Because if you don't, it just, things go awry, and you can have people go missing or get hurt, or, you know, God forbid, you know, deceased in the course of minutes, if you're not on top of stuff. So yes, it was very formative.
Well, it is interesting. You became a fire chief, a fire captain. You became the deputy chief of training. And when you have an experience like you went through in Katrina, again, it's so formative, and you couldn't say it any better than what you said up to this point, but it makes what you say during that training so much more profound, because you can say, look, there's a fine line between the role that we play to save people and protect people, and when maybe the situation becomes so critical that to try to save them at this stage of whatever that disaster might be would put you at risk. And you're able to describe that. You've been there, and it makes you a better trainer, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. As we get the younger generation in, they haven't really experienced several of our new recruit classes have guys that or girls that don't remember 9/11. They barely remember Katrina, and it's a blip. they just remember, having to be outside and maybe not having air conditioning and, watching their parents pick up the yard or having to move from their house that got water or coming back and picking up toys. So it's hard to relay to them, but you can kind of tell them through your training and through your experience that, look, guys, there's no way to describe it. It's almost like having a baby. There is no way for my parents or any other parents to tell you how to raise that child. You can only kind of guide them to what they need. And they're very receptive. They love learning, and nothing can replace real world experience.
There's no doubt. You got to be trained well, but then you got to go out there and get it in the throes of the trenches, and that's the way you get better at what you do. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Chief Nick Geiser. He's the fire chief for the city of Biloxi. Want to talk just briefly about COVID, the latest on COVID in the fire department, what's his thought about the vaccine, et cetera. And then I want to just talk a little bit about going forward. So we'll be back with the final segment here in just a second.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, Two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We're talking to the fire chief for the city of Biloxi, Nick Geiser. Chief Geiser, my friend, he's fine with me calling him Nick, incidentally, but Nick has such a great background. It's been awesome sort of hearing your story and how Katrina impacted you. I can understand, as I was saying during the break, why you're such a good trainer. You've had great experience, but you know, your mother was an educator. She taught you to communicate well, and to be a good communicator, you got to sort of know your audience, and you obviously have done a good job with that. Hey, listen, I mentioned that we should chat just a little bit about the pandemic, and more in particular the Delta variant. You know, it seemed like when we came out of the pandemic, things were going really well. The Delta variant gets here; it's so much more contagious. Suddenly, the hospitals are full with unvaccinated people, and I mean, it's kind of a scary place that we're in. And Dr. Dobbs said it could be another 8 to 12 weeks. If you just do the exponential math on that, knowing that the hospital's already full, we're not in a good spot right now, are we, Chief?
No, sir. You know, we're doing the best that we can. You can't force people to get vaccinated. You can always encourage, as we do with our our fire department. You can lead by example, of course. As soon as it was available to me months back in March, I went, got it. Our chief went and got it. All of our command staff pretty much went and got it. We encouraged, we told them dates. We got health department to come in here to us. You know, we tried to make it available to everybody. I think the majority of our department has been good about it, getting the vaccination. Of course, you know, you've got to respect the opposing opinion on, you know, hey, I'm just not doing it. I'll take my chances, and that's their right. All that you can do is make it available to everybody, and give as much encouragement for them to do what they feel is the most justified thing for them and their family.
Yeah, I see where the chief of Yatsabusha County, I don't know if I'm saying that right, died of the sheriff's department. How are you doing in terms of members of the fire department who have gotten COVID, the Delta variant?
So right now, we have been currently our numbers are around 11 people are out. Now that is not all 11 positive. I think only about 3 are positive. So, you know, we've been really proactive as far as trying to lock down the stations for, you know, to limit public interaction. Of course, our guys are still running the emergency calls, and we have not limited response to any call. Of course, we give them masks, we give them Tyvek suits, we give them face shields. We encourage them, especially on a reported COVID positive, you know, limit exposure if it's not a life-threatening situation. You know, send one person in to provide emergency medical care, but don't expose the whole crew. You know, disinfect. We spend a good amount of money on disinfectant and the ability to do a quick and easy rapid deployment. That way we're ready to respond at a moment's notice, and we aren't in that case where we get back to the station and it takes 30 minutes to disinfect the engine, but you get a call within 5. We are at the point where we can disinfect an engine in about 1 or 2 minutes. So even if we get a call back to back, we are able to disinfect. And so you just take those precautionary steps, and then like I said, 11 are out, only 3 are positive. So we're doing the close contact. We're giving those people their time, away, to determine whether they, and we've set good guidelines. My ops chief is great at detailing how to handle it. We keep track of it. We check on them. He's constantly in contact with them if they need anything and that sort of thing. And I think it's really helped. His efforts have been great, and me settling into this, I haven't done as much contacting like I want to, but he's really picked up the slack.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Hey, look, when you got up this morning as the new chief, what's the thing you look forward to the most about your new job?
Particularly this morning, the Mike Leonard and Mayor Fofo, they were very helpful yesterday. They signed off on a couple promotions that, one to replace the chief of training, and one to replace the battalion chief. So they were great to work with. They listened to me. They listened to give my spill on why these guys were the right fit for the right job. And, so I was excited because one of those guys was on duty this morning up here at Station 1. So I was looking forward to seeing him face to face and congratulating him. He was well deserving, and he's going to be a great asset running the training department, that I'll be able to help him with.
Hey, what's interesting about that? I remember, Zig Ziglar made a big impact on me early in my life. I remember something he said about management and leadership. He said, if you help people get what they want out of life, you'll get what you want out of life as a leader. And what's cool about what you just said is you were excited about communicating to them that they're achieving another goal in their life, and that you have a role in helping that. And then you're also excited about the fact that whoever these people are, that you're excited to have them on your team, and that it's building a strong team, man. That's the key to success, isn't it?
Oh yes, sir. You're only as strong as your team. That's what the fire department is built on, and that's what I don't want to ever lose sight on. That it's not ever an I did this and I did that. It's a we. And you try to incorporate your command staff. That's my team. So I try to get their opinions. They had a heavy role in deciding these two, and I don't ever plan on stopping that. They will always have an opinion, and it's going to be valued, and we're going to always do it as a team effort, making these important decisions.
Well, Chief Nicholas Geiser from the Biloxi Fire Department, I've really enjoyed hearing your story. I look forward to meeting you in person whenever we can see each other. And we'll stay in touch with each other, because the work that you guys are doing is so important. We're in the midst of the hurricane season. Who knows where the season is going to take us? But it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, sir. I've loved it. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Thanks for sharing your story. We'll see. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.